TV. You're like, look, lady,
Nah, I ain't telling them nothing.
you should you should include
Probably.
that.
Let me
Yeah.
know when you start recording so I can turn my lights on.
Started recording 7 minutes ago.
Well, don't use that footage.
I'm not going to use all of it.
No, don't use it. I'm literally not lit up. Like, I'm not even lit up. You talking to a damn shadow. All right, let's actually start properly. For once.
For once, I should
Go into the new year the right way.
All right, we're going to start it off 2022. Thank you guys for joining. This is Anthony with E-Man on The Correct Opinion. We're back with a new show after a little bit of our hiatus. Thank you for joining us. We have a couple topics to talk about. My man E-Man over here has been doing big business, been doing big things. He's been going around the world, flown from coast to coast to sit here and talk about recasting T'Challa. No, he hasn't. He's been doing all this stuff virtually, but he's been talking to great folks like TMZ and Good Day LA, and hell, let me let you tell it.
Oh man, I mean, look, it's been a whirlwind this whole, I don't know, 2 weeks. First, ever since the Letitia Wright drama was happening, with her, not coming back from the United Kingdom or whatever, the whole anti-vax thing, that started getting people riled up and being like, you know what, man, just go ahead and recast Shuri. But then people was like, well, if you could recast Shuri, you could recast T'Challa. So then, boom, we started getting some momentum. And then after that, Chadwick Boseman's brother, Derek Boseman, came out, voiced support for the Recast Tchalla movement. And not only just voiced support, but he also said that he believes that his brother would have also wanted the role to be recast. That gave us another huge surge, given that huge endorsement. So that led to me getting an opportunity to go on TMZ Live to kind of talk about the whole situation. And, thanks to a lot of support from a lot of my followers and people that support the cause, they went out and started contacting reporters and news folks on our behalf. Yeah. And right after that, boom, I got Fox LA hitting me up saying, yo, we need you on to come talk about this movement, because it's not something, even though it's getting a lot of coverage, there are still people out there that just don't know. There's a lot of information that people don't know, because people are just, and I get it, like, they're casual fans. It's, understandable. Everybody's not going to nerd out and read every article like I would, but, this is something that really needs to continue being talked about. And it's an important conversation. And what makes it important is the impact that Black Panther had. If Black Panther had never had the cultural, social impact that it had, nobody would care about this, like, at all. This would be like, man, whatever, it's just another movie, screw it, but this matters, you know what I'm saying? And at the same time, we're trying to tell people, like, look, we ain't trying to ask for nothing, some cheap, lazy, immediate write-off. You don't have to just throw somebody in the role right now. Take your time. All we're saying is, like, just don't permanently end the character. Like, that's not, I feel like that's more of a disservice to all the hard work that Chadwick put into this. I mean, the dude was fighting cancer, and he could have been staying at home, kicking his feet up, conserving his energy, but he kept going because he knew how important this role was for everybody else.
Now you've been going on TV, you've been talking with more people about it. But like you said, now after the Letitia Wright controversy, it was kind of like your little in to get this movement to kind of springboard a little. More people are talking about it. More people are investigating it. Like you said, TMZ was able to get a hold of Derek Boseman. I know that was a little pet project too, but they got him to go on record to actually quote and say, like, hey, my brother would have wanted this recast. How does it change now that all these famous people are now even pushing the conversation more? Is Marvel treating you different? Have they asked to talk to you? Have they?
So here's the thing. I reached out to Marvel when we hit like 1,000. First of all, I reached out early to kind of say, like, hey, I'm very uncomfortable with the decision that you guys made. Are you okay if I voice my opinion? And, one way or another, I heard that, there's nothing wrong with fans voicing their opinion. And I would just say that, like, even this whole petition, it's not a way to bash Marvel. It's not attacking them or nothing like that. We're just saying, like, yo, we care about T'Challa in this role. Right. We want to honor and celebrate Chadwick. We just feel like the one thing you shouldn't do is go killing this character. That's all. Like, tell whatever story you want, elevate whoever you want, pass the mantle to whoever you want. Just don't permanently end the character. That's not really asking for much, to be honest with you.
Marvel is not above recasting. We've seen them do it.
They're not. They just don't want to. And the thing is, I don't think they understand the long-term impact of that, and that's a whole nother conversation. But,
Which is weird because they did take the time to recast Terrence Howard, right? Yeah. Even though the War Machine didn't have as much of an impact. They were like,
now you're gonna get some goalpost movers. You're gonna get some people that say, well, that's not the same. And I get that. But the overall point is recasting happens all the time. It's literally a part of the business. It's almost like getting upset that a player gets traded in sports. It happens all the time. And it's never been disrespectful. Even when it's been like the ugliest of situations, recasting is not disrespectful, and
like our 4th or 5th Batman.
Right. But like, think about it like this. You've never had a previous actor's legacy be tarnished because somebody else stepped into the role. Even if someone else showed up and screwed it up and the whole show or production goes downhill, the previous actor is fine because they made their mark. They did their thing. They don't correlate.
Nobody said like one of the other James Bond actors affected, anybody else's career ever.
But what happens with that though? In hindsight, we go back and look, and what do? We have favorites now. We're like, man, Sean Connery was my favorite. No, it was Roger Moore. No, it's Daniel Craig for me. And it's fun. Like, we could sit here, have that barbershop talk. You know what I'm saying? And it's cool, right? Why can't we do that with T'Challa and make him the first of many?
Now, we already talked about this. We talked about this offline ad nauseum. I told you how I think Marvel's views are with regard to the character of Black Panther. It's just a coincidence that it's a cultural important figure, and it's not at all their interest to try to promote him as such. In fact, it seems like they intentionally try to only keep him at a certain level so that he doesn't get out of their control, right?
So I just want to say that one thing I will not do, I'm not going to do any character assassination because I don't want them coming and saying and twisting things on me. I'm not going to talk about, I am walking in the assumption that they are doing what they feel is best. Now, by their own admission, and I will always hold them accountable by what they say and what they do, by their own admission, they never anticipated what Black Panther specifically would do. This is why, yes, they gave Black Panther a shot. They gave him a movie. They still didn't even know it was going to hit $1 billion, but they was like, oh, it blew them away the same way Iron Man blew them away. They didn't know that C-level character was going to do what he did. So even after that huge outpouring of the first Black Panther movie, keep in mind, like, they were already working on Infinity War and Endgame. They still minimized his role because they didn't realize, they didn't see it was coming. So
even still, like I can say it, Marvel had $1 billion franchise and they've held off on making the sequel for a long time.
That is crazy because really, Ant-Man got a sequel real fast.
That's crazy in any industry, in any film. As soon as something crosses a certain threshold, sequel talks are immediate. So
we should have had a Disney Plus Wakanda show.
For them to have a product that make $1 billion in the box office and then they decide, you know what? Hold off. We'll get to it eventually. That tells you how they view this specific character amongst others, right? Because when the Spider-Man movie started making money, what did they do? They started to try to renegotiate with Sony so they could get half of that box office.
Even though it was value.
It wasn't nearly as big. They made 100% of the profit of Black Panther. They made portions of Spider-Man, but we got our whole trilogy in a small amount of time. I remember I was reading the other day, John Watts is the first director in the MCU to complete a trilogy.
Wow. By himself.
And we're in 2022. This is crazy. This is crazy.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like that tells you a lot about Marvel's decision making, how they view their characters, which ones are their favorites and which ones are not necessarily something they're interested in pushing as much. Right?
Yeah.
Doctor Strange made a lot of money. It's been 6 years since his movie.
Yeah, and I'm just to kind of go back to one of your earlier questions about, like, you know, how's this coverage like helping? I want to put things in perspective for people. On Christmas Day, that was a Saturday, Make the Amazing Spider-Man 3 was trending. This was something that was blowing up Twitter. It had over 400,000 tweets and mentions, and it was nuts. You barely heard a word about it. Recast Tchalla, Save T'Challa started trending with maybe like 4,000, a mere fraction of what the other one did, and we got coverage from the LA Times, you know, and I need people to understand the LA Times ain't really just gonna cover anything or whatever. And if you were gonna pick one, you would go pick the thing that's been retweeted ridiculously more, right? But the reason why we got more coverage is because this is deeper than just people wanting to get their movies out there. It's deeper than just some comic book fans feeling entitled, being like, I want my movies and my story. No, that's not what this is. It's about Black representation. It's about actually honoring Chadwick Boseman. It's about the children. It's about the kids that actually look up to this character. It's about not profiting off of the exploitation of a real life tragedy in a fictional story. That's what Recast Tchalla is all about. And that's why I keep trying to tell people, like, yo, this is not about the mantle. Like, stop thinking about the mantle. It's about building a legacy. It's about building a legacy. And it's funny. It's funny because I hear people on other networks and channels, and they say, like, well, we could just wait 10 years and what's the big deal? And I'm like, you would never say that if Tom Holland died and we didn't have a Spider-Man. You're not waiting 10 years for another Spider-Man. Sony show as hell not gonna wait no 10 years. No, that's their big Spider-Man No Way Home was their highest grossing movie ever. That is their biggest, largest IP.
What? Before that was Far From Home.
Far From Home
was their highest grossing movie.
That's their highest grossing IP. If I don't care if you Kevin Feige, if you walk up to Sony and somebody says, we're not going to we're going to retire Spider-Man to honor, tribute, whatever, you will lose your job. You will be fired. That's black. You'll take some time. You'll celebrate. You'll do a video tribute, whatever. And then you're going to move on.
Listen, we could talk about Recast Tchalla to our faces
all day. I will talk about it all day.
I will say one thing.
We about to hit 50K.
That's amazing. We started talking about this way back in April, and it was just like, 1,100. Let's watch, see what happens.
2 people.
Yeah, it's like now you at like 40, 50K. That's impressive. Yeah. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
I think as someone who's been here as a supporter since the beginning, I, of all people, at least deserve my very own Recast Tchalla t-shirt. I'm looking at this.
I got you covered.
I'm seeing it on TV.
I got you covered. If anybody is watching, and if you do want a Recast Tchalla shirt, you can go to teespring.com/Recast Tchalla, and all proceeds go towards the colon cancer charity in Chadwick Boseman's name. We recently just crossed the mark of raising $1,000, and we just made that donation like last week. So super, super proud. Shout out to all of y'all that already have a shirt. But yes, if you do end up buying a shirt, I'm not making a dime off of this. All the money goes straight to colon cancer research in memory and honor of Chadwick Boseman.
I keep forgetting. I've got like sound effects. Never used it. Gotta remember that.
You got to put them in use.
All right. Well, moving right along. I don't want to go ad nauseum.